Cropping is another one of those things that we will do occasionally in Photoshop. We usually crop behind the camera, kind of what do you want to see? Use a telephoto lens, zoom in. But we can also crop and straighten at the same time. I've got two images open from our exercise files, boating and perspective, these two. What we're going to do is look at how we might crop an image and even straighten it at the same time. Pick up the crop tool right here. When you do, the active image will get this border around it. If you click inside there, you're going to see a grid. So let's look at some of our options up here. You have an option to delete the cropped pixels, which is typically the best thing to do so they're not there and consuming file space for you. This button here allows you to go back to the classic mode of crop if you want to do that. We're going to stick with the new one. We can also enable what's called a crop shield, which actually can match the color of the canvas, or we can create it as a custom color with an opacity. And over here, we have views. The rule of thirds is what we're looking at right now with the grid. You can change that to something else that might help you when you're doing the crop. I'll go ahead and use the rule of thirds. Over here, we've got straighten, and that's what we're going to do actually first. If we click that, there's our old ruler tool again, except it works instantly. Now that horizon is not perfectly straight, and maybe I want it perfectly straight. And water typically is going to be pretty much a straight line. Let's get right about here. I'm going to drag over here and keep it straight with the horizon and let go. It'll do it automatically. Here's that crop shield we were talking about in the background. All right, we've got that part done, but now I want to crop it down. I want to emphasize these guys right here. These are actually big images. We got it down so you can see it on the screen. So I come to a corner, say right about here, and I begin bringing it in. I like how it does this. Let's go ahead and just concentrate on those guys. Now, once you do that, we can move the image around. Maybe get them right about like that. And you say, I like it. And go ahead and click this little button right here, check mark. And there you go. If I come over and double click on my hand tool, I'm concentrating on one area, which is a very important part about photography. We love distractions and images, and we look at everything. If you really want me to see one part, maybe you could crop in on it. So that's one way we could do this. If we come over here to the next image, we actually have another tool. Now let's come down here and pick up Perspective Crop Tool. This tool not only allows us the privilege of cropping the image, but it also allows us, in addition, to change the perspective. Now remember, perspective is not rotation. It's changing the visual perspective of the image. This building is not really falling over. In the three-dimensional world that this photograph was taken in, our minds understand those things and they make the corrections in our head. But when it's two-dimensional like it is now, our minds have a tendency to look at it and go, well, it kind of looks like it's fallen over. So we're going to do two things. We're going to crop and we're going to change the perspective with this one tool. Let's come over to about here and let's go ahead and get a piece, say like about like that, and let's move that over a little bit more this way. And that's kind of what I want, but I want to fix this too. So I'm going to come up to this corner and I'm going to drag it in. Now the thing about dragging that in is what you're trying to do is you're trying to match that angle. So I'm going to get temporarily a little bit closer so I can really see that angle. Just make sure that it fits the angle of the line that you want to straighten up. I think that's going to work. So let's go ahead and move it back. All we have to do now is confirm it by clicking the check up here. It's actually not too bad. So we've cropped, and remember, cropping helps to focus the viewer's eyes on what you want them to see. It is a very important technique in photography. Perspective is another thing that we can use in our arsenal for two-dimensional photography to help images look more natural. On to the next.